Um, so we are continuing our foray into standard here as we wait 1 week from today. There is a BNR announcement. Um, I built this deck yesterday. I have played 3 matches. I've won all of those matches, and so typically when I've done this recently in my testing process, I just like to pause that 3-0 and then see if we can get a trophy on stream. So right now we are 3-0 in this league. I'm gonna go ahead and get a trophy prediction fired up for the early birds. Get that going for 5 minutes. Where I started here was that I was kind of scrolling through standard legal cards that I wasn't all that familiar with. Chimic Alfs with the 6 months, thank you. And I kind of bumped into Calix, Guided by Fate. 3 mana 2/2, although it's kind of a 3 mana 3/3 because when it enters, or another enchantment enters, you can put a counter on any creature. The same ability basically as Optimistic Scavenger. Excuse me, hold on. Initial bird at 13 months. Nazar the 20. Thank you, thank you. It also says whenever Calix or any enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, you make a token that's a copy of a non-legendary enchantment, and you can do that once a turn. And I guess, sort of simply put, there are both some pretty premier enchantment auras in the format in Shardmaid's Rescue and Sheltered by Ghosts. I might want to play more Shardmaid's Rescues, by the way. They've been like really insane. Just had 2 in my first draft. And there are also a lot of really absurd cards to copy with Calix. Shelter by Ghost is kind of does both. Like it's both very good to just like turn a scavenger or like a flying token into a something that can copy an enchantment, but also like copying this is really, really good. You can give Calix like Ward 4, which is really absurd. Copying Up the Beanstalk is also incredibly strong. And copying an Overlord, copying a Leyline Binding, very, very strong as well. So I wanted to really build kind of this more like mid-rangey Calix Selesnya build. I was looking on Goldfish to see if other people had built decks like this. I had seen some like much lower to the ground builds, but I didn't find anybody who had been doing this with like in a Bean Overlord shell. And the Bean Overlord shell has been, surprise, surprise, very good. Very good. I also wanted to try out some scroll shifts, and these have been very strong as well as ways to kind of scam your overlords into play. Especially good with the white one. You play this and you scroll shift, and then boom, you just have so much power. And it's also a card that people don't really play that often. It flickers an artifact or enchantment or a creature for 3 mana and draws a card for 3 mana instant speed. People just really do not expect they do not expect this to turn into a creature in combat. Also trying out one Ghostly Dancers, a 5 mana 2/3 or 2/5 flyer. When it enters, you can return an enchantment from your graveyard to your hand, and whenever an enchantment enters, you make a 3/1 spear. I think it's kind of a good board breaker. Trying it out as a one of. We have a bunch of Knight of Graces in the sideboard for the black matchups, some Smites for the red matchups, recipes for graveyard, Split of Vivian, Rita Nissa for domain, and I'm also trying some Valorous Stances. Because it's a card I see a lot of people play. Honestly, the entire reason it's in the sideboard is I see a lot of people playing the deck, playing the card, and I want to try it out. It protects Calix too, because enchantments, a lot of enchantments. All right, initial birth 13. Nazar with the 20 months. No beats with the 53. It's wild that I'm almost at 5 years. Thank you for being a positive influence in the MTG community. Happy holidays to you and your family. You too. No beats to you too. To everybody else in chat. Okay, so we're on a mulligan to 6. Let's put back the Elish Norn. Or nuts to this hand? Maybe. I feel like it's like kind of clunky. I'm also just kind of used to like playing modern. I bought him the 5-drop, and I'll draw something like it later potentially. So I can't ossification this turn. Do you think the last format style of 4-color legends could be playable without the Slogurk package? I haven't looked super deeply at it, to be honest. I do think that deck was quite good. Okay, they reveal a Knight Errant of Eos, but it looks like they can't deploy it. I think this may be a matchup where I can somewhat comfortably just jam the Calix, although I now have an Overlord for a different possible play. Yeah, I think I'll go Overlord, because now if I draw an untapped land, I can go Calix into Sheltered by Ghost, which just might make it too tough for them to kill. Like getting the extra point of toughness on the Calix is also really important for Torch the Tower. They do get to play their guy here. Reveal another knight errant and a recruiter and a spyglass siren. Yeah, maybe I've chosen wrong. Choosing to not play Calix that turn. Well, we did draw the land. So we get paid off here. We're going to be able to have a big life linker. Sorry, also trying to update the Mox field. Yeah, I think we exile the Knight Errant of Eos. We get this up to 5 for lifelink. Take down the Overlord. Mox field up to date. Plays the Recruiter. Opponent declares Math for blockers. Math is actually for Magic Online today. Alright, I'm at 5. So now we're just going to cast all the cards in my hand, make a big life linker. So I can gain 8 up to 13. My opponent has 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. If they play another Recruiter, I can basically absorb 3 of the damage, but I think I'm just getting in. Probably better for me to flicker or copy the Overlord instead of copying a removal spell, though. Okay. So let's see if they have another Recruiter. I think that kills me. Oh! No, I go to 1, actually, if they have another Recruiter with no other creature. Dang! Ugh. Now I go to -1. Probably should hold the binding for their shelter. I needed to gain as much life as possible. I was under the impression. Also, if I could have copied Shelter by Ghost to also give my Calix double ward. That might have been better. Okay, so down a game against Convoke. I've not played against almost any Convoke. 2/2 Verse Striker. 2/2 Verse Striker seems kind of great against them. Like, the spot removal spells are not so good. Like, besides Sheltered by Ghosts. Saving Binding for their turn meant 1 less life now, but 3 less damage from them. So I guess I was alive. Against Creature plus Recruiter. Alright. Another blunder. Alright, can't mulligan this on 6, I suppose. You want to bottom the passage here, though, so you don't shuffle whatever land you bottom back into your deck, I think. I think I'm down to Bean this turn. First time we've drawn a Bean today, I think, in... How many games has it been? This is our, 6th game today. 6th or 7th. They do target my creature, which is the right choice, it seems. We can Divination with Scroll Shift on the Beanstalk. We can also potentially play around another copy of Sheltered by Ghosts. Do you think Elvish Archivist could be better than the Scavenger? I mean, Scavenger is a 1-mana creature, which is, really a big deal. Archivist also, is always a 0-1, which is pretty tough. This deck also draws a lot of cards when you have Beans, so I don't know that we need another card draw effect, but it's an interesting thought. Archivist drawing is hot, but 3 mana. Well, Archivist is 2 mana, so... I believe it's 2 mana at least. I have not been right about everything today. My 2-mana 2/2 first striker. Nuts. All right, so they're convoking. They can only grab ones here, but I guess their deck does have plenty of ones. They did brick. I have the option to... Yeah, I think I'll just play Impending Overlord and Knight of Grace. I don't think I need to Sheltered by Ghost this turn. And I think I will also save the Binding for next turn, but obviously 1-mana Binding is... with Bean is the nuts. Shelter their shelter. I think I would prefer to not let them like unlock their shelter again. And I also just don't really need to. Should have sheltered their shelter, take Ossify. This is not an Ossify, this is a Optimistic Scavenger. Maybe I guess you see the O and you think it's an Ossify. But to say that this line was like wrong, I feel like is also kind of, come on. This line was totally fine. Okay, they reveal a Warden of the Inner Sky and a Spyglass Siren. Let's see what we draw off the bean. Nice. So now we want to clear their... I guess we can enchant an insect token. So I think I want to enchant the insect token that I'm not putting counters on. I haven't played in a while. Why is Beanstalk banned in Modern? Fond memories. With complete humility, we kind of got Beans banned in Modern here on this channel. Because we played it in a deck where you would just cascade into up to Beanstalk of Shardless Agent, Violent Outburst, and your deck was just Fury and Leyline Binding and Solitude, and you would just 0 mana, draw two cards, kill your thing, and you would just turn through your deck. It was pretty nuts. It was kind of a silly time. Squee, the 61 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate ya. With complete humility. Sorry about that. What is Wondering being banned? There's a ban announcement in 1 week. I know everyone here hopes that the Beanstalk is banned, or most people here. As far as what will actually happen, only time will tell. So the exile my Calix. With Fury and Violent Outburst being banned, is there any hope for Beans to return? No, there's not. You know, as annoying as the One Ring is, Up the Beanstalk is better than the One Ring in Modern. Ooh, they can kill my thing without having to pay for ward. It's kind of cool, I assumed, but I didn't know it would be this wrong. Yeah, Beanstalk was, I think, the best card advantage spell in Modern's history. Better than Treasure Cruise, better than the One Ring. One Calix back, please. All right. Go to game 3. Yeah, better than Divination. It's one of the best in Legacy, yeah. It's very, very good in Legacy. All right, I guess we didn't board in these Knight of Graces to mulligan them. I think we're surveilling here. I know we could play the Scavenger, but I think I'd rather be able to go like Knight into either, I guess like maybe Scavenger plus Shelter, or just Knight plus Shelter, or Knight plus Scavenger. If Beans was 6th place, would it just be terrible? It would be significantly worse. I don't know if I would say terrible necessarily. It would be significantly worse. Probably, yeah. Probably that's the line. Magic is very funny too, because like I always like how it's like, man, this card is busted. This card is so insane. It's the best card spell ever. You just change one number by one, and it's just, oh no, this card actually goes to not even playable. Yeah, let's go Scavenger Knight. Yeah, not even playable, actually. One card in their hand. Sex a clue, see if they find a knight. They do not find a knight. Now I'm able to unlock my Sheltered by Ghost here. So I can make this a 4/3 first striker, which attacks through everything. So I think we should do that. They quadruple block, 2 of their things die, and they only deal 2 damage to my 3 toughness knight. Can you change a number on Luris by 1 to make it unplayable? So for unplayable, I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I don't think there's like a single number you could change on Luris to make it unplayable. All right, so I can comfortably attack here. I think just with this knight, leave this one back to hold it down. Yeah, permanent spells of mana value 1 is not unplayable. Not unplayable. I think the biggest stuff to Luris would be making it cost 4 mana to put into your hand. I think that would kind of be like the only thing that even like would be a real nerf. I guess I'm gonna exile a token here so that I can flicker the binding. Okay, they just concede. All right, nice. So 5-1 with this deck. Of do you main deck Fury in this metagame? Do you hedge for the mirror versus do you hedge for the combo decks? It's also another bad hit off Amtraptor. Like, can you play 4 Amtraptor, 4 Fury, and like 3 or 4 rings in your deck? Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, a lot of people do say Boros would just play Fury. Also, I think a lot of y'all are also, I think, kind of forgetting that Fury was like never that good in decks that I think we reviewed this. Fury was like never that good in decks that couldn't scam it. Like Fury was only really ever playable in decks that could scam it, decks that could draw cards with up to beanstalks, or decks that were playing, or that Cascade decks like Rhinos that had like a deck building restriction. I do think that there's like a pretty big degree of like revisionist history there. Okay, so my opponent is pretty heavily representing cut down. If I play Calix, I do get 3 counters, and then they cut down. I think that's probably just where I need to be this turn. It's hard to play around the cut down forever. Yeah, I agree that they should have banned Grief when they banned Fury. And when they banned Grief, it was pretty silly. Why doesn't this deck want the enchantment land? You could maybe play the enchantment land. You know, so we're way less on the eerie synergies than we were when we were playing the blue build. So the enchantment land in this deck synergizes with it puts a counter with Scavenger. It can be copied with Calix, which isn't that relevant, I think, and it puts a counter with Calix. I think that's not enough compared to the like other build. Wait, why did they Kaito? Their Kaito's just dead. What am I missing? I don't know what I'm missing. I do think I'm going to take this opportunity to get my Calix outside of cut down range. So yeah, again it's a silly conversation, and the fact that this has already been a conversation. I was trying to bait Tidebinder, but I guess I have been hit here. Like the fact that this is like literally already a conversation we've had is just so dumb. The fact that like we already have this entire dialogue tree is like. Just everyone is so bored. get in for 6. Finally unstunned. Rashik with the 41 months. Hope you're doing well today. Appreciate you. So they're holding up 3 mana here. Could be a Tidebinder, could be the Flash 2/1, could be a Go for the Throw. I guess so. It's a 3 mana card, not a. It's a 3 mana card, not a 2 mana card, because they should have cracked the map if they only have a 2 mana card. Rashik, 41 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. So it is Tidebinder. So they counter my ossification, but then we get to go binding. Make them chump block and then put them down to 2 life. Bindings are almost always 4 mana in this deck, no. They're 4 mana in this deck, unless you put an Overlord, in which case they're 1 mana. In an Up the Beanstalk deck in standard, this is fine. This is a standard, not modern. It is like you don't need to play this on turn 2. It like four if you have Beanstalk, 4 mana draw card, exile permanent is very good. When you have Overlord, it's insane. You can copy it. It just is good enough like this. I know that it's kind of weird. Okay, so Knight of Grace is coming in. Let's cut the Elish Norn. I think I cut the Soul Shifts last time I played this matchup, but I kind of regretted it because it did just kind of seem like the Soul Shift stuff was hard for them to interact with. It can be kind of bad to draw 2 copies early. So I think I'll trim 1. I think I'll trim 1 copy of Shelter by Ghost, but it is pretty good with the Knight of Graces. I want to keep in the ossifications. I almost want to cut a Calix. Yeah, Calix could be a little clunky against them. Smite is great. Is Smite great against Dimir? I think it's okay. I don't know. I sometimes bring it in, I sometimes don't. But we have a lot of removal. I could just be wrong. Maybe Smite is just legit great against them though. I know that you can smite the thing before they can ninjutsu the Kaito. Scroll Shift always seems like the worst card in these decks. I mean, I feel like it kind of for me, Scroll Shift is the card that when you look at the deck list, it's kind of zoomed out. I think I agree. Yes, it looks kind of bad. When you play with the card, I think the card like absolutely deserves to be played as a 1 or a 2 of in the deck. It just leads to a lot of blowouts, and the floor on the card is not so low either. Yeah, I know you can smite before they Kaito. Oh no, they have Flood Pit's Drowner. It's like their only way to deal with this. Now if they Kaito, I can't kill the Kaito. I guess I could just Shelter by Ghost the Kaito. I mean, honestly, them spending 4 mana and I spent 2 mana is like, it's not that bad of an exchange. They also missed their land drop. Okay, so this is not so bad. The prediction get paid out. Not yet, but you are broke. We did lose, unfortunately. Sorry, believers. Okay, 4 cards in their hand here. Oh, sorry, I thought they missed their land drop. I guess they didn't. All right, reveals a Tidebinder. Name next Dark Souls character. All right, what do you want to name it? I'll try to remember. IDK, okay. We'll try to remember. All right, down to 17. Or maybe less if we get Kaito'd. They stun counter my scavengers. So let's go Knight of Grace. Shelter by Ghost, target my Knight of Grace. Hexproof from black. Then I'm going to put a counter on Calix so that it doesn't get blocked by any of the any of their flash 2/1s. Nausea with the 4 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Nice. Wow, they just don't have anything. All right, let's... This is probably about big enough. I think we'll just go in on the Scavenger here. This is our first Beanstalk copy today. And we don't get to play with it very long. I think I mulligan this on the draw with like really mostly because of that fountain port. All right, let's keep this. Let's put back a rescue, I think. Dimir again. Did just beat them. Do I want a second copy of Ossification? So I'm probably not going to get to ossify anything next turn. I think I'm going to bottom. I really want a bean. I really want to... just more grindy cards. I already have 2 removal spells in my hand, although I can't cast this one yet. So also something to cast this on could be good. Did actually win the Spec Avatar to give me one. I won this one. I got 31st place. I told you I was not going to use the Avatar if I didn't earn it. They did also give me the gold one, but I didn't ask for it. Full transparency. I did earn this one, so I'm using this one. Yeah, I actually did try to figure out if you could cascade into beans with Appraiser. Honestly, you might be able to still. Like, I guess you could just still build the deck as Appraiser, Overlords, Leyline Binding, Bean. Huh. Let's not. Oh, Tidebinder. Okay. Very good here. Dingo's doing that with Zur, but no Cascade. Honestly, hitting a Zur is like pretty good too. Have I seen the winners actually use my sign avatar? No. Well, firing up the reef is interesting. So I'm taking 9 down to 7. Just gotta play an Overlord. Wait, I didn't. Oh, because this is an enchantment. Okay, right. Typewriter doesn't remove enchantment abilities forever. Okay. So I think this is going to work out kind of poorly for my opponent, or at least I hope so. I'm going to block here. I'm going to go to 1, but then I'm just going to lifelink up my Overlord, give it Ward 4. Do I go for... let's go for Ward 4, despite not having a target for it. They can still go for the Throat It, but then that's their whole turn, so they can't double spell. I think if they had go for the Throat, they would have cast it last turn for whatever that's worth. My opponent Arena's playing Night of Sweet's Revenge. Are they playing the list we played the other day? They reveal a Saiba, Cryptomancer. Card, people sometimes ask me about playing in Modern. I've never really got this one. I mean, I know it's like a protection creature. All right, farming Dimir. I mean, being good against Dimir is like a pretty good... it's a pretty good review of this deck, I think. I said we sideboard last time. I think I'm still not bringing in the Smites, but Smites are okay. How often are we triggering second ability on Calix? We've triggered it a few times today. Like, Calix is a card that, like, if you untap with it, you're, like, just crushing them. And if it enters, sometimes you get to, like, double counter on other stuff sometimes. Calix is really strong, I think. Copied a Beanstalk. Copied some Overlords today. What's your reason for not running caverns in this deck? I feel like caverns are so easy to put in any standard creature-based decks. Well, I'm playing Ossification, so I need to play a lot of basics for Ossification, which I think is quite a strong card. And I don't know. Yeah, I think that I would probably play like maybe another Fountain Port. I do like, you can name Avatar or you can name Human in this deck, which I think are both kind of fine. But we also have a lot of non-creatures cards. There's also not that many counter spells in the format too, so and we've also been beating Dimir a lot, so it's like this is another argument I think against Cavern of Souls. Mog played it. Let's go. Yeah, I haven't personally run into anybody. Do you think there's no room for Llanowar? Yeah, I mean, you could play Llanowar over Scavengers, I guess, but and like, it is nice to curve Llanowar into like an Overlord or a Calix on turn 2, but I think I haven't really missed the card here. I don't think it's probably correct to play it. Let's keep this one on the draw. My opponent's on a mulligan to 6. Nice. I don't hate this card, but I think with double Overlord in my hand, I'm just wanting to get to land number 4. Juliet with the 25 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. So last game with my opponent, they like stun countered and killed my Knight of Grace that way. It was like a really good tempo swing for me, so I'm just kind of okay if that happens again. This time they have a Fairy Mastermind. It's really nice that Ossification can get rid of Kaito. There's just like not that much Planeswalker removal in this format. Would I be upset if they unbanned Deathrite Shaman next week? I don't think I would use the word upset, but I do think it would be a mistake. I think the Deathrite Shaman, like when I was making my foray into Timeless last year, I felt that it was like very clear that Deathrite Shaman was the best 1-mana creature in a format with Ragavan and DRC and Swords of Plowshares and Lightning Bolt and Uro and Orcish Bowmasters. Like, Shaman was like clearly the best 1-drop in the format. They have now printed Guide of Souls and Ocelot Pride. But Deathrite Shaman is also a color pie break. Deathrite Shaman is very ubiquitous. You are probably going to see 4 copies of Deathrite Shaman in like every top 8 if it's legal. I think it would be a mistake to unban, yeah. The card is also very cool and iconic, and I would certainly have a lot of fun playing it. And at the end of the day, it is a 1-mana 2/1 1/2, so it's not so busted. But I do think it would be a pretty big mistake to unban. Shaman barely sees playing Timeless now. Yeah, I feel like I was trying to do an address of how the format back then was different. I don't know that that's a good argument for unbanning it not seeing play in Timeless now. Can I expand how Shaman is a color break? Seems similar to Scooz. Yeah, so it's similar to Scooz. Scavenging Ooze is a green card. Deathrite Shaman can be a mono black card. You can play mono black mid range, like the mono black, Sunken Field of Ruin Shell. You play like 8, maybe some fetch lands too. I don't know if you can play that many. And you can have a mana dork in mono black. You can play just like one green source if you want for the life gain ability. You don't even have to do that. Okay, so our hand is Utah Mystery card. Oh, sorry, I guess I should have overlorded first. Yeah, also the fact that it's like the life loss is maybe not exactly a color pie break, but pretty close. This is also, again, part of the problem with scheduled BNRs. A huge part of the conversation is, Spike, what if they unbanned my pet card? What if they unbanned my favorite card, Deathrite Shaman? This is Gix's command? Holy shit, if this is Gix's command. It definitely is. Well. Good news is these are coming online soon. They also, it's kind of surprising they buffed the Kaito. I guess they're just trying to kill me with the reef. So I guess we were actually just dead next turn, so pretty gross. I could keep this Shelter by Ghost for an Overlord. I think I'm just gonna main phase instead. It was really an historic year. Deathward Shaman was used in reckless midrange without fetches. Yeah, I mean, in a format without fetches, it is a lot weaker, of course. Shaman is my pet card. Friends and I were talking about what cards come off the list without completely warping the format. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I will say though. Oh, cool! This is a ninja. I will say I'm just saying that this is a big part of like what the scheduled BNRs are like, more so than me trying to dunk on you. A lot of it is just, even if that's not what you're doing. So like unban my pet card. There's just a lot of this kind of discussion. I think Shaman would be a bad unban. It's a pretty poorly designed card. It's a color pie break. All this. I agree that it would not completely warp the format. I think there are many better unbanned targets. I think Splinter Twin, Umezawa's Jitte, Bridge from Below. Even though people don't like Bridge from Below, but the card is like, it's pretty exploitable. It never should have been banned in the first place. The card is just not that good, and I think graveyard decks could use a buff. I guess we're trading here. I think Birthing Pod is like worse than Birthing Ritual, could come off pretty easily. I think Jitte would be a great unban because it's such an iconic card that I think people would be excited to play with it. Okay, so I guess we still Sheltered by Ghost here, even though we have no targets. This just becomes oh sorry, it only becomes 4 toughness. So I can't get in. Okay, never mind then. Might still be okay to play because of duress. Probably better to hold. So they may fire this up and then trade one of the sanctuaries for the Overlord here. I think that's okay because then my insect token can deal with the other half. Let's unban looting. If you unban looting, it would be the best card in Modern, I think, immediately. So I'm not in favor of it. I don't think that it would be. Yeah, I think it would be the best card. And it like just like Reanimator, Phoenix, Dredge, Hollow One are like 3 of those decks are already in the format sans looting. With looting, it just becomes immediately way better. Okay. Do I give them 2 cards here? If I give them 2 cards, I die, so I don't necessarily love that. I think I just do this and then they're dead on the backswing. What? Their last card is Go for the Throat, dude. Wow. I guess we need a big top deck. We do have a lot of good draws here, but Basic Plains, not one of them. Yeah, there's a BNR 1 week from today. Do you think Pod would not be in a tier 1 deck if it was unbanned? Yes, I think Birthing Pod would not be in a tier 1 deck if it were unbanned. I think that the card is worse than other options in the format. Funny enough. Okay, so let's plan to scroll shift our binding on their turn. I guess their upkeep. They might just have a flash 2-1 though. Yeah, fun game though. Yeah, I think Birthing Pod would be fringe playable, but potentially more unplayable. Okay, so now we have to scroll shift into binding. Why are we talking about unbanning cards in Modern when there's like 6 cards that need to be banned? That's a good question. My answer to your question is that we've had a 6-month period of people hemorrhaging from the Modern format. We had a lot of people try Modern for the first time with MH3, and then MH3 was the worst set to come to Modern in 5 years. And 4 or 5 years. 3? So, whatever. I'm getting semantic here. In a long time. So, if you unban a card, an iconic card like Umezawa's Jitte, that people like and that they think is cool and they think is iconic, you have the possibility of getting some of these people who have hemorrhaged from the format, who have left, to become excited about the format again.
I think Jitte is actually, for me, it's my pick because one, I feel very confident it would be quite bad, but it does seem like the general consensus among casual players or people who are not super enfranchised in Modern is that the card is incredibly busted, and I can't, and like the I think the most I've ever been yelled at on Twitter was when I said that Umezawa's Jitte would not be good in Modern, and that the new Jitte was better than the old Jitte, mostly because the old Jitte was bad. This was I've had more just like, I cannot believe your Calix Jitte unplayable. Like, people like really think that card is crazy, and so I think it would be a fun little thing to happen to see people like, I think it would really try to capture the hearts and the minds of the people who really like Umezawa's Jitte. I should probably play Beanstalk here because it doesn't get countered by the counter unless you pay 2 card, and then can trigger the Overlord next turn. Okay, so this is not so bad because, like, obviously they get the card, but then I get to just ossification this potentially. I think I will do that instead of playing the Knight. Although the Knight would be good. But yeah, I think that, and they've done this several times in the past, but the general idea behind unbanning cards is to reignite interest in the format, and I do think that is something that seems worthwhile to me at the moment. My problem with unbanning Jitte is if it's going to make for miserable play patterns. No, I genuinely believe Jitte would not make for miserable play patterns. I think that I understand where your attitude is coming from here, but Modern is so far away from a format that Jitte can possibly generate miserable play patterns for. We are light years away from a format where turns go like 6 rounds, where creature removal isn't super efficient, where artifact removal isn't super efficient. Like, Jitte is a card that is actively bad against a lot of decks. It's actively bad against Tron, and it's actively bad against Gorios, and it's actively bad against Dredge and Reanimator. It's like, it is not the creature combat format. It has kind of never been the creature combat format. But we are so far away. We are so far away from that. I think I want a binding. Okay, did not play well around the gate here. So it seems like their curiosity will indeed endure. Was playing around the counter unless you paid 2 a card. And I'll say this also. So this is something when we've talked about unbanning cards in the past. Bloodbraid Elf, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Stoneforge Mystic, Bitter Blossom, Ancestral Visions. All of these cards at the time, I think people did, and you could make the argument that these would generate miserable play patterns, that these cards were too dominant in the past and were bad for the format. I think you could have made the argument about all of these cards. But when the power level of the format increases so much that these... Oh, Shieldred? Fuck, dude. When the power level of a format increases a ton, I think you do just get to... What are we doing here? Like these cards that in the past are bad play patterns are just fun. I think they actually just become fun. Well, a land is not going to be particularly helpful here, unfortunately. I do think I'm going to try to power up the Calix so that I could potentially copy ossification with it. Seems kind of unlikely. Not feeling great. Well, what is the point of the ban list? To be as small as possible or to make the format as good as possible? Is the format made better by bringing back unplayable cards that are only playable when they're oppressive and unfun? I do think the purpose of the ban list is to make the format as good as possible. not just to be as small as possible. I think that I don't even know what that argument looks like. Um, and I do also think, yes, the format is made better by bringing back iconic classic cards that people have a lot of nostalgia for. I think the format is it generates a fun conversation. It generates a fun dynamic when people have like very polarizing opinion on like how playable these classic cards are. I do think it makes the format better to have these cards in the format. Which is again, if you remember the beginning of this rant was my entire reason for suggesting unbanning Umezawa's Jitte is that it would potentially bring people back to the format. I think it's kind of the perfect card to bring to get people more interested in the format. In a very, very similar way as unbanning Jace and Bitter Blossom and Ancestral Visions and Stoneforge and Ancestral Vision or whatever, like those 5 cards were. Like all of these cards are iconic, and every single time one of those cards was unbanned, people got more interested in the format and got excited for it again. So we're kind of just drawing to ossification or sheltered by ghost, I guess. Yeah, preordain I think is a good example too. Oh baby. No negate, no negate, no negate. So I'm going to exile the Shieldred. They're going to have 3 attackers here. Me attacking removes... They chump with the Flood Pits Drowner. And then... They can't... They couldn't tap this if I left it back to block. I'm not actually sure I have a good attack here. I attack here, they chump, I go to 9. My opponent then fires up the Reef. They fire up the Kaito. I would chump the Enduring. I would chump the Reef. Am I chumping again? I guess so, because then I can trigger this. I guess it's actually better to attack them than it is to attack the Kaito because of the Calix. Although they could have a removal spell for the Calix, and then that would be kind of bad. They just block, activate. Oh, yeah, I didn't realize they could shuffle this in. Okay, no attacks then. Probably should have helped the passage still. Oh, I can't really bluff anything. Oh yeah, they can activate second stones here. Then they just make a 2/2 flyer. I do have 2/1 flying blockers, so this is not game over. I guess I'm dead to a removal spell in their hand though, because they can Kaito and kill an insect. Well, dang. Was not a way to beat that though. 2-1. I think you could also make the very easy case that if a card is, I think, just clearly, basically in my mind, kind of unarguable to be good in the format, why is it banned? You know what I mean? Like why do we have this classic iconic card banned if it seems to be like it would just be awful or just very, very, very on the fringes of the format? On the fringes of the format, it's a good place to be. I don't think you can make a good argument for Jitte possibly being a crazy, impactful format warping card. I think there's no good argument for it. I think it could be like a lot of fun to build Stoneforge Mystic decks. Stoneforge Mystic decks are so far away from playable. I don't think Jitte moves the needle on it enough. You know, it's just like that. This is like the other side of that coin. But yeah, I mean, this is also the problem with banlist talk is that everyone just has very different philosophies. It's always been the case. Could you draw a land? Do we think they have cut down? think I'm just gonna overlord here. Full ban of the entire image sets. Well, do y'all ever get tired of saying stuff like this? It's like whenever I have like try to nuance conversation about stuff, and I go like, I think Giganta needs to get banned. Giganta's pretty busted. Everyone goes, okay, let's ban all companions. Talk about the problematic MH3 cards. Ban all Modern Horizons cards. Do y'all ever get tired of like just saying the same thing over and over for forever? Probably not, but yeah, I don't know. Like that, like that's not going to happen, and it doesn't really make any sense. I don't know. I will say Modern Horizons 2, I think based and cool. Modern Horizons 1 and 3, pretty bad. China isn't a monolith. Yeah, I'm talking specifically to the people who just have been saying this stuff nonstop for 5 years. Oh, Son of Basma. Okay, I take everything back. Consider 3 blind mice in this deck. Let me reread that card. Where does Lord of the Rings stack up? I don't know. Lord of the Rings is really weird because the power level overall is quite low, besides Bowmaster and Ring, which is way too high. Oh, they get to kill my Sheltered by Ghost. I can't stop that with this. Make a mouse token, make a copy of target token you control. Oh yeah, this is the one that goes in crazy with Calix. People have done this in the past. I don't know. It could be good. Maybe that's not a very satisfying answer, but I think I kind of like the mana curve as we have it. I think that makes the mana curve a bit worse. Seems a bit slow. Calix is also like just kind of one of these cards where it's very good if we untap with it, but we just have a lot of other plan Bs. Then this card seems kind of weak without Calix potentially. This sounds crazy, but I do think Modern will one day get to the point where it needs Force of Will to keep the format stable. Pre-image Eldraine, it was a turn 4 format, now it's turn 3. I mean, I think that this is a bad argument because Force of Will is, in my opinion, a card that's only important to police formats where turn 1 wins are possible. Which, when they banned Seeming Spirit Guide, that was no longer the case. There's also we have Force of Negation, we have Solitude, we have got Commandeer. But, yeah, with Peace and Love, I think this is quite a poor argument, too. Don't think it really makes that much sense. I think I'm going to sideboard the same way I do against Demir. Maybe I want one more Ossification. Oh, they're going to have more Disenchants. So I'll take Monday Yam. Yeah, but I don't think you can really make an argument that Force of Will is that important for a format that's a turn 3 format. It's a format that contains turn 1 wins. That's like kind of the entirety. It's like the entire argument for Force of Will. Like a turn 3 format is where you just get to, mulligan for your sideboard card and play your lock piece on turn 2. Shelter is so nice at night, I don't think you can cut it. I mean, I think cutting 1 is good. Seems like a fine plan. I agree that it is part of the plan. I don't have to get rid of them. I think on the draw I have to mulligan. Okay, let's keep this. Let's put back a Sheltered. Tried to cook anything with triggered activated ability of Weaver of Harmony. I don't think so. Let me read this again. Is more than one copy of Felton too tough for the mana? It does seem tough on the mana. It could be okay to play a second. I wouldn't play a third. Yeah, I've never tried Weaver of Harmony. It seems kind of slow. I don't think in any format like 2-mana 2/2s that you got to untap with and spend mana on are usually very good. But it does curve into some stuff kind of well. Rude. Force of Will is also a very broken card. I can't believe I'm having to say this today, but yeah, I think we're very far away from needing Force of Will in the format. I think some of this attitude probably comes from probably okay to fetch here. Like I understand, especially I understand this a lot right now. What it's like to be a one format Andy, and then and you're entering another format and you're like, oh, this format doesn't have this tool I'm really used to. We need this tool. It's like, just let formats be their own thing. I think you should never print Force of Will into Modern. All right, save me Fountain Port. Guess we play Calix. Do you think it's possible we get Depths unbanned? No. Depths like dominates no banless Modern tournaments. Might have to take this one to game 3. Am I taking a break from Modern until the BNR? Probably. I mean, there's a chance I play like Modern for like one day or something, but I'm having fun with Standard. I have a big Standard tournament coming up too. It feels like a good time to be working on this, and I will. We also have the BNR in a week, and that's going to be a really big deal, and it's going to be that's going to take a lot of my time when it comes out, anyways. Why does Depths dominate? Is it because only White really has access to Exile? It's mostly that it's just like it's hard to interact with. It's not that tough for them to play protection for the combo. It's in a lot of ways like a Splinter Twin that doesn't get interacted with counter spells, and it doesn't get interacted with I'll do second Maelstrom Pulse with counter spells. Doesn't get exiled with non-exile based removal. So yes, it's just kind of narrow how you can interact with it in the first place. But it's also like in even like the ways that it can interact with it, it's not too tough to play around. How does Binding Fell with only Overlord being only enabler? It's been very good. Like in Standard, just like 4 mana, exile your thing is okay. With Bean, it's good. With Overlord, it's great. And so it's just like it makes the cut. Oh yeah, Terra Sunder is a good answer to Thrawn. Black Knight with Twitch Prime, thank you, welcome back. I'm at 1. No. Second time getting shielded. All right, game 3. I think on the play, let's try 4th Calix. One less also. I mean, the shield rid. I don't know if I'm gonna. Don't know if this is wise. You cut a scavenger. I want lands to be an archetype in Modern. Good news, lands is an archetype in Modern. Bad news, it's built around Amulet Titan and or Amulet of Vigor and Primeval Titan. All right, let's keep a Knight. Yeah, I'm gonna play in the Spotlight in Atlanta. It's part of the reason to work on Standard here. I bought my flight over the weekend. Little good news, bad news there. Lands is a viable archetype in Modern. Any idea on how to get Urza's Silex to be good in Standard? I mean, so cards are either good or they are not. You can't make a bad card good. I think Silex is quite slow and quite bad. Ugh, brutal Shielder's Edict. Have we looked at Otters? Otters is cool. I think... I don't know. It's one of those decks where it feels like whenever I've been playing it, I I don't draw that well, and when my opponents play it, they just always have the perfect curve. But I do think the deck is okay. Is Atlanta a big spot for Magic? I don't know. I mean, I have family who lives in Atlanta, but I don't know how good the Magic scene is. But it does seem like they host a lot of tournaments there. I kind of feel like it's possibly just a cheap city, like a cheap high population city. Because like there's also like a lot of historically Wizards does like like they've been doing Chicago in the winter, and they've been doing like Dallas in the summer sometimes. and you have to know that these are cheaper times for them to do it. Fountain Port, let's go. Yeah, it is. Atlanta does have great or big airport. I don't know if I necessarily like it that much, but big airport and great aquarium. I think I'm still making a treasure token this turn. Could draw Bean and get the card. That's true. It's a good hub too. Yeah, we were doing a little bit of an aquarium tier list yesterday. Actually, I think I have Atlanta Aquarium at number 1. Piano with the 48 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. Oof. Over Monterey. I haven't been to Monterey. Well, let's pivot over to the green-black reanimator deck, I think. So this is something that we brewed on stream. Was it yesterday? Was it really yesterday? I had a John reanimator build I played in the